People are eating a lot less red meat these days, and that means ground turkey versions of classic beef dishes like burgers, meatloaf, and today's dish, Italian-style meatballs. And Julia's here, so we're gonna show you how to make turkey meatballs that are light, tender, but still medium flavor.
I've heard you be suspicious of turkey meatballs in the past because you're a big fan of beef, which I appreciate. And you know, turkey does get a bad rap because it doesn't have as much flavor, and it can also be really mushy. In fact, when you compare turkey to beef, turkey is about 71% moisture, beef is in the low 60s. So more moisture, that means we're not gonna use milk at all in the panade, we're just gonna use breadcrumbs.
Oh, great.
So this is 2 slices of white bread. We're gonna pulse it in the food processor till they're nice crumbs. That takes 10 to 15 pulses. All right, that looks good. So we're gonna add some Parmesan. This is half a cup of nice Parmesan, a little bit of parsley, just a tablespoon.
Enough to make us feel like we're eating healthy.
Exactly, that's your vegetable.
Great.
Now we're gonna add an unusual ingredient. So this is a teaspoon and a half of unflavored powdered gelatin, and it's gonna help prevent the turkey from having that grainy texture.
Okay.
Teaspoon of salt, last but not least, quarter teaspoon pepper. Would you do the honors?
Sure would.
Mix it, mix it. Next up, another umami bomb, as you like to call them. So this is half an ounce of dried shiitake mushrooms, and we heated them up in a cup of chicken broth. We did that in the microwave, and then we let them sit here for about 5 minutes. That way they're good and soft. And this liquid has a lot of flavor. We're gonna save it and use it in the sauce. We're gonna put the shiitakes in the food processor. And we're also gonna add yet another umami bomb. The bombs are going off everywhere
They
out
are.
here. So this is 2 anchovy fillets. They're rinsed, obviously, because otherwise they'd be too salty. And I minced them up so that they'll grind up nicely in the food processor. We're gonna pulse them till all the pieces are very fine. That takes 10 to 15 pulses. All right, ooh, this is potent. Get a whiff of that.
Woo, doggy.
It's strong, right? It'll give a lot of flavor to those meatballs.
Excellent.
All right, so we're almost done here. We're gonna add an egg, which is a good binder. We're also gonna add a little garlic. This
Yay.
is 2 cloves of minced garlic. And last but not least, 1.5 pounds of ground turkey made from the thigh meat, 90 or 85% lean. And this is the stuff you wanna buy. Time to get dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no getting around this. You just gotta get your hands in there. And you really wanna mix all the ingredients up really thoroughly. So you know when you're making meatballs with beef, you try to handle the meat really gently so you don't turn out with really rubbery, tough meatballs.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about that with turkey. You can just mix away, make sure everything's nicely incorporated, and they'll never get too tough on you.
And that's because turkey is lower in something called myosin, where beef is high in myosin. It's that compound that actually creates that sticky and tight texture.
This is gonna make about 16 meatballs.
Okay.
Each meatball is about 1/4 cup.
All right.
So, in other words, it's that size.
That size. Oh, that's
what
bigger.
we're going for.
All right.
So all we're gonna do is after we finish shaping these meatballs, another trick is letting them sit in the refrigerator for 15 minutes.
You know, that was one of the key to the turkey meatballs. A lot of recipes will just throw in tons and tons of breadcrumbs, but that makes for a very bready and not very meaty meatball. But instead, we're relying on these to set up in the fridge. We don't need to add too much bread.
That's right. All right, so those meatballs have chilled and it's time to get cooking.
I was chilling as well.
All right, so along with the meatballs, of course, we're gonna make sauce, because what's meatballs without sauce?
Meatballs.
Yes, and they're not as good.
No, they're not.
So what I'm gonna do is take a whole bunch of aromatics and put it into one bowl. That way, when it's time to make the sauce, they can get added to the pan all at the same time.
She's so efficient.
So in here, I have 2 anchovies minced and rinsed. You gotta rinse them or else they taste much too salty. We're gonna add a little garlic. This is 2 cloves of minced garlic, some dried oregano. This is half a teaspoon of dried oregano. This is a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon red pepper flakes. We're just gonna mix this together. Now we can set this aside for later. And also, tomato sauce, you need tomatoes. This is a 14.5 ounce can of whole peeled tomatoes. And we found that it's best to use whole peeled tomatoes and grind them yourself. Making your own means they're always consistent. So we're just gonna pulse these until they're ground to a nice coarse puree. All right, perfect. So we have our sauce ingredients waiting. It's time to brown the meatballs.
Okay.
In this skillet, I have 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Over medium-high heat, we're gonna brown the meatballs, which does a couple things. One, it gives a nice brown coating, which looks good, helps the meatballs firm up a bit, but also, more importantly, it's gonna add flavor to the sauce. All right, so you can see that oil has started to shimmer. So I'm just gonna add them to the pan one at a time.
I love that you're adding them in a clockwise pattern. Is that so you know which one to turn over?
It is.
Yep.
That way, when you go to turn them over and brown them, you get them all evenly browned. keep turning them, cook them on all sides. It takes about 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right, so these meatballs are perfectly browned, but clearly not cooked through. We're just gonna take them out of the pan so we can build the tomato sauce. I'm gonna use the drippings left in the pan to build our sauce with our mixture of aromatics. You just wanna saute this in the pan for about 30 seconds, just until it's aromatic or fragrant.
It's there.
It's there. All right, also into the pan, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Just gonna mash this into the pan for a minute.
And tomato paste is actually also rich in umami, so it's gonna add savory flavor to the sauce.
We're gonna add this shiitake broth. And last but not least, our processed tomatoes.
It's starting to look more like a sauce now.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, so we're just gonna stir this together.
Oh, it smells so good.
Yeah, we're gonna turn the heat to high, and we're gonna bring it to a simmer. It's almost there. Now we're gonna return the meatballs to the sauce so that they can finish cooking through. It's the best way to make meatballs, to use the drippings to make the sauce. It makes so much sense.
It does, and I love it when the meatballs go back into the sauce and continue cooking for a little bit, because the meatballs take on some of the flavor of the sauce, and even better, the sauce takes on the flavor of the meat.
There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna turn this down to a simmer, and then of course we're gonna have to cover it. That helps trap the steam so that the meatballs cook through, but it also prevents that sauce from over-reducing. And it's gonna cook for about 12 to 15 minutes. You know they're done when they're not pink inside anymore, and they register about 160 degrees.
Okay.
Meanwhile, time to drop the pasta. The gallon of water, tablespoon of table salt.
All right, tablespoon to table salt, and a beautifully crafted centerpiece, 1 pound of spaghetti, right?
That's it.
There you go.
Bring this back to the boil, cook it till al dente, and we're off to the races. All right, let's check out these meatballs.
Oh, yeah.
Now, obviously, it's hard to tell when a meatball is done, especially if it's a turkey meatball. You want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. So we're going to temp it. We're looking for a temperature of 160. There we are.
That is perfect.
On the nose. All right, so now you can see how watery the sauce really has gotten. So we're going to take the meatballs out, and that will allow us to reduce the sauce down till it's nice and thick. Meanwhile, how's our pasta doing?
Gonna check to see if it's al dente. There's only one way to check. I'm gonna throw it against your head. I'm gonna test it. Still has a little bit of bite, so that's good. Perfect.
All right.
Would you like me to dump it?
Yes, could you please drain it? And also, as always, reserve a little pasta water if you could.
Always a good idea. At least a half a cup, if not more. All right, back in the pot.
Yes, please. You can see this sauce has reduced down in that short amount of time. Looks like the perfect consistency. So we're gonna take the sauce off the heat and finish it with 1/4 cup of chopped fresh basil. We're gonna stir this in.
Oh, just right at the end. It's always a good idea to add basil right before you're serving it, because the flavor compounds in basil, they actually dissipate quite quickly.
I'm gonna give it a little taste. Plenty of salt. Needs a little bit of pepper, and you can season it with sugar if you like. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of the sauce. I'm gonna add it right to the pasta. There we go. And of course you can add pasta cooking water if you need to loosen it up. You wanna give it a good old toss?
Sounds good. And I am going to add just a little bit, a smidge.
Ooh, that looks perfect.
It's looking good.
All right, I'm gonna take this whole pot and I'm gonna do this family style. All right, now we're just gonna put the meatballs back on top. Oh, put a little sauce over the top.
Looks so good.
Doesn't it? A little Parmesan, because you can.
And because you should.
Ready to eat. I'm gonna give you 2 meatballs. There you go.
You know me so well. Really tender, very juicy, which you do not get from a turkey meatball. And some serious flavor in there, too.
A lot of flavor. And it's not dry or mushy. It has a good toothsome bite.
It's the texture, too. So much better. And you see that nice tight crumb right in there, that tight texture of the meatball? It's nice and tight, so it's gonna stay together, but it's not at all tough.
It's so easy. I mean, really good weeknight dinner.
These really are a game changer for Meatball Monday. Our turkey meatballs get their big, meaty flavor from umami-rich ingredients, starting with shiitake mushrooms. Grind bread, Parmesan, and gelatin, then mushrooms and anchovies. Add ground turkey and shape into meatballs. Brown, then cook them in a flavor-boosted tomato sauce and serve over spaghetti. So from our test kitchen to your kitchen, rich and robust Italian-style turkey meatballs.
Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.